Alex Turner had always prided himself on his independence. Living on a sprawling 5-acre plot just outside a growing suburban enclave, he spent his days tinkering in his workshop, building custom furniture from reclaimed wood. The land had been in his family for generations, a haven of self-sufficiency with its own well, solar panels, and a winding dirt road that led straight to his front door. He wasn't one for neighborhood barbecues or community newsletters. His property lines were clear, and he intended to keep them that way. One crisp autumn morning, Susan Whitaker, the president of the nearby Homeowners Association, pulled up in her shiny SUV. She was all smiles and polished professionalism, clipboard in hand, as she approached Alex in his workshop. "Mr. Turner, I'm here to talk about joining our HOA. It's more than just rules, it's about community integration, better infrastructure, and maintaining order for everyone's benefit." She rattled off perks like shared landscaping services and neighborhood watch programs, painting a picture of unity that Alex found suffocating. He wiped his hands on a rag and shook his head firmly. "No thanks, Susan. My deed is clear. This land isn't part of your development. I handle my own affairs." His tone was polite but unyielding, rooted in the knowledge that his property predated the subdivision by decades. Susan's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing just a fraction. "Suit yourself, but isolation can breed problems." She left with a curt nod, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The harassment started subtly, but escalated quickly. Letters from the HOA began arriving in his mailbox, official-looking documents demanding compliance with community standards and threatening fines for everything from his unpaved driveway to the height of his fence. Alex ignored them at first, but then he noticed odd occurrences. A drone buzzing overhead one afternoon, capturing footage of his land. A contractor's truck idling at the edge of his property line, its driver peering through binoculars. Even attempts by strangers to snap photos from the road. Paranoia crept in, but Alex wasn't one to back down. He started documenting every stamps, photos, videos, and headed to the county office to double-check his records. Sure enough, his title was ironclad, exempt from any HOA jurisdiction. Then came the visit from David, a burly HOA board member with a condescending smirk. "Look, Alex, you're becoming a liability. Non-participants like you drag down property values. What if there's an emergency? We're all in this together." Alex stood his ground, citing legal boundaries, but David's words lingered like a veiled threat. Sometimes, people need a nudge to see the bigger picture. The real trouble hit when Alex returned from a 5-day work trip installing cabinets in a neighboring town. Pulling up to his driveway, his truck lurched to a stop there, right in the middle of his access road, was a massive pit, 8 feet deep and wide enough to swallow a car. Orange cones and signs labeled it an HOA utility well site. Rage boiled in his chest as he imagined the excavators tearing into his soil without permission. He grabbed his phone, snapping photos and videos, measuring the intrusion 3 feet squarely on his land. Calling the sheriff, he filed a report, his voice steady but edged with fury. Hiring a surveyor named Tom, Alex got confirmation. The pit was illegally dug on his property. That's when he contacted Emily Carter, a sharp-eyed lawyer specializing in property disputes. Digging deeper, they uncovered the HOA's falsified utility application, using Alex's parcel number to justify the improvement. It was blatant fraud, and the controversy began to simmer. Who had the right to improve land that wasn't theirs? Was this community progress or outright theft? Armed with deeds, surveys, drone footage, and the bogus documents, Emily built an airtight case. The court hearing was a battlefield of accusations. Susan and the HOA claimed it was a clerical error made in good faith, insisting the pit was for everyone's water supply. But Emily dismantled their defense with edited maps showing deliberate alterations and security cam videos of the unauthorized dig. The judge, a no-nonsense veteran of such disputes, ruled in Alex's favor. $57,000 in compensation for damages and a clear finding of trespass and fraud. Whispers in the courtroom debated the verdict. Was it justice for the little guy, or a blow to necessary community governance? Flush with the payout, Alex poured it into repairs and fortifications. He installed high-tech cameras, motion-activated floodlights, sturdy gates, and perimeter sensors. To top it off, he adopted Max, a loyal German shepherd trained for protection, whose keen senses added an extra layer of security. But the victory was bittersweet. The harassment didn't stop. It morphed into subtler torments. One camera lens smeared with mud overnight, fresh shoe prints circling his workshop, a dead squirrel nailed to his mailbox like a macabre warning. Rumors spread through the neighborhood Alex was unstable, a recluse hoarding who knows what. Online forums buzzed with debates. Was Alex paranoid, or was the HOA overstepping into tyranny? Emily advised patience, urging him to document every incident to build a harassment case. "They're baiting you," she said. "Don't give them ammunition." Alex complied, but the tension gnawed at him, turning his peaceful haven into a fortress under siege. The climax erupted on a moonless night. Max's low growl woke Alex from a fitful sleep. Peering through the window, he spotted shadows moving near his barn. 3 men, hooded and purposeful, carrying cans of gasoline and tools. Heart pounding, Alex flipped the floodlights, bathing the yard in blinding white. "Get off my land," he shouted, grabbing his shotgun for show. Max bolted out, tackling one intruder to the ground with a ferocious bark. The man yelped. It was Jake Whitaker, Susan's nephew, his face twisted in shock. The others scattered, but not before dropping evidence. A burner phone and scribbled notes outlining a plan to torch the barn and stage it as Alex's own arson, painting him as a dangerous lunatic to justify an emergency injunction. Sirens wailed as deputies arrived, cuffing Jake amid his frantic denials. Alex's cameras captured all footage that linked texts from the phone to Susan and her inner circle. The revelation sparked outrage. Was this a desperate HOA conspiracy or a necessary measure against a nonconformist threat? Debates raged online and in local papers, polarizing the community between defenders of property rights and advocates for collective order. The aftermath unfolded like a thriller. A warrant raided the HOA office, unearthing damning emails, more burner phones, and premeditated schemes to neutralize Alex. Journalist Michael Vance, tipped off by an anonymous source, published a scathing exposé on the corruption, falsified surveys, coercive tactics, even bribes to county officials. The HOA launched a smear campaign against Michael, accusing him of bias, but it backfired when conflicts of interest surfaced. Susan's husband owned shares in a development firm eyeing Alex's land. A state inquiry followed, exposing a web of overreach that questioned the very ethics of HOAs nationwide. Board members resigned in droves. The council dissolved amid scandals. Charges flew. Susan got 12 years for conspiracy and fraud, her ally Robert Klein 8 for aiding the intrusion, and Jake 5 for attempted arson. The sentences ignited fierce arguments: too harsh for bureaucratic bullies, or fitting for violating sacred property rights. In the end, Alex channeled his ordeal into purpose. With Emily's help, he founded Liberty Land Watch, a nonprofit aiding others battling HOA overreach. He erected a sturdy fence along his border, dubbing it the Susan Barrier, with a tongue-in-cheek sign: "Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted." As he sat on his porch one evening, Max at his feet, toasting with a few sympathetic neighbors who'd broken ranks, Alex reflected on the chaos. He'd preserved his independence, earned grudging respect, and exposed a system rife with abuse. But the controversy lingered. In a world of encroaching suburbs, where did personal freedom end and community control begin? Alex knew one thing'd fight for his side every time.